Joining me right now is Congressman Peter King of New York. He serves on the Homeland Security Committee, and he chairs the subcommittee on counterintelligence and terrorism. Congressman, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Maria.
Well, obviously, our hearts go out to the families of the victims in New York. What is your reaction to this attack? What can you tell us right now in terms of where this investigation goes, sir?
Well, first, let me say a real hero yesterday was the police officer from Long Island who was able to shoot and bring down the terrorist. As far as any information, basically most is out there in the public sphere now. I know I've been talking to people involved in the investigation, and it does not appear as that there's any terrorist fingerprints with him. Now, again, this is the first few days of the investigation. I know you have Mike Balboni on, and he'll be the first to tell you that these investigations can go on for quite a while because they're going to be going through everything on social media, anything they can find out about him at all his phone records, and then they'll be talking to people who they find in those phone records. This can go on for weeks and months, and before you get a full picture of him. Again, that mosque in Paterson, New Jersey, has been of serious concern. I know for the NYPD for years, and but as far as any particular motive, obviously he was an Islamist terrorist. Obviously he was committed to ISIS. Whether or not he acted on his own or not, it's still. It's not unusual for him to be acting on his own because ISIS has really mastered the art of, through the internet, finding people on the fringes, finding people who they don't have to have direct contact with. They're out there. And it's very likely that he never had any contact with ISIS. He may have, but again, I'm sure he will find that he was following them on social media and that they were inspiring him, even if they didn't know who he was, and there was no direct link between the two.
Is there anything we should be doing that needs to happen now, Congressman, that we're not doing in terms of, making sure that the vetting process is better? I mean, this guy came on a diversity visa. So what do you want to see in terms of getting in front of this next time? I mean, yeah, that's why I'm not calling it lone wolf, because you're inspired by ISIS. Lone wolf suggests that it has nothing to do with anything. This is a guy who's obviously inspired by ISIS. We'll see if he actually did get radicalized. We don't know that, right? Or do we?
Well, I assume that he either came here as a radical or he was radicalized. And ISIS does have, through social media, they can communicate. They have a way of putting out an appeal that attracts people that are on the fringes of society, and they can bring them over to the dark side. As far as the diversity visas, that's also known as the lottery system. And to be honest with you, I've known a number of people in New York who come in under the lottery system, who have made outstanding contributions. They become citizens. So that really is separate from the idea of the vetting. And I do think, again, he came over here in 2010. I don't know how severe the vetting was then. I do believe strongly, and I agree with the president on this, there has to be a very enhanced vetting system, especially a country like Uzbekistan, where they've had, I think, about 800 people go to Syria to fight on behalf of ISIS. Even though the government itself has been cooperative with us, there's a real hotbed of ISIS supporters, al-Qaeda supporters, Islamist fundamentalists in Uzbekistan. And so, again, especially with countries like that, there really has to be what's called extreme vetting.